So normally when I have a thought, I will write about it and either directly on social media or I will post it to my blog and then post that blog post on social media and call it a day. I'm not a speaker necessarily, I'm a writer. But there's something about the thought that I started getting today and then eventually, worked through and put down that I just feel like I need to talk it through to make it feel like a whole thought to me. So I'm sharing it with whoever's watching. A little background for those who aren't aware of my journey the last 14 to 16 months. I went in to see one of my doctors for something that we expected to be routine. It was a non-issue. We weren't worried. I actually laughed when people thought it was something serious because I was like, this is nothing. Every test came back fine. I presented with nothing serious. I had no symptoms. So when we got the results back that it was a very rare form of cancer, my world shattered. Because 2.5 weeks after I was diagnosed, I was hauled into surgery for major life-changing surgery just to save my life. And that was actually 10 months ago today. I was officially in started remission. It's been a very, very hard remission. I can't believe it's only been 10 months, but it's also kind of like I made it through 10 months alive, which feels simultaneously like a big feat and a very small feat. So I have a lot of doctor's appointments, I have a lot of specialists, and I have a lot of tests. So my parents and I just got back from the Dominican Republic about 26, 27 hours ago. We officially landed back in the States. Like I said, we just got back. Approximately 12 hours after we landed in, Indianapolis, I was in a doctor's office. Scheduled appointments. It just happened that way. But now I get a new specialist. And I had to come up with some last minute appointments today as well and get some more testing done, which is actually we're making progress. So overall it was a good thing, all the appointments and tests today, but it's taken me all day to flesh out this thought because I've been in and out of doctor's offices and appointments, but actually that's kind of where I do a lot of these weird thought correlations, are in the doctor's offices. So here is my most recent exam room waiting time musing. I think it's just because of all the therapy and, almost dying and then having to reconcile with how different my life is now, because the cancer took away some pretty major things for me and it's been hard to work through. So my mind goes to some weird places and I'm told that's very normal. But I have to write it out and sometimes I have to talk it out just to feel like whole, that the thought is really mine. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, everybody hates long introductions. I'm sorry this is a long one. Want to give you a little bit of backdrop. Sorry. My ear absolutely just hurting. The sound of my own voice is painful. Floor vibrations from my landlord's ceiling fan downstairs are painful. So if I'm grabbing my left ear, ignore it. I got a specialist for that. Anyway, here's what I've taken all day to write, and think through and then write down. As I sat in the room waiting to see one of my many doctors, I thought about the trip I had just taken to the Dominican Republic and the shirt I was wearing, this one. There might be a few of you who recognize the shirt and know what it's from. Doesn't matter, it's inconvenient to the story. It's a weird combination of thoughts, but it's how my mind wanders waiting for the doctors. The shirt is one of my favorites, and the trip is definitely one of my favorites as well. I've had the shirt about 10 years, and it's faded and worn. It fits just the way I want it to, and the fabric is just the right level of softness and give. It's comfortable, and it's molded itself around my body to truly fit me. But it wasn't always that way. When I first bought it, when I first bought it, we're keeping the blemish. It'll make sense. We're keeping the mistakes in this video because that's important to life as well. When I first bought it, I was sometimes ashamed, so weird, right, to wear it because it was all new and stiff in the way that new cotton shirts sometimes are, and it looked unused and untested. I felt like a fake wearing it because I didn't have the evidence of it being broken in the way I'd seen other people's favorite shirts look. And am I the only one who does this? Let me know, okay? I felt like I was wearing a facade, so I stopped wearing it altogether, tucking it away in a drawer, irrationally hoping by hiding it would get the worn-in look and feel that I wanted. But it stayed pristine. I mean, duh moment, right? It stayed pristine. I washed it a few times, trying to wear it out without actually wearing it. Didn't work. The shirt remained like new. So one day I just gave up and I put it on, self-conscious about its shininess. But I wore it anyway, and I washed it, and I wore it again, and again, and again. And slowly, the shirt took a new shape. It began to soften and stretch. It faded a bit, stains happened, and while I was able to get those stains out, there was still a breaking down of some of the fibers in order to repair the blemishes. The white fabric is now slightly dingy, and the black fabric, keeping the blemishes, the black fabric is still black, but it's faded. It's broken in, and it fits me just the way I like. So as I sat in the exam room, waiting for one of my many specialists, I did my own self-exam. Looking at the tan on my arms from spending 11 days in the Dominican Republic, I also saw the fading mosquito bites on my arms and felt the itch of them on my feet and legs. Incidentally, I am highly allergic to Dominican mosquito bites, not so much US mosquito bites. There is a major difference in those two insects. Anyway, I saw old cuts and a burn scar. I saw the fading allergic reaction I get from non-zinc sunscreen that I had to use because I ran out of my zinc sunscreen and I needed to protect my skin somehow, so I had to use it as a last resort. And so I have an allergic reaction. I have a chemical burn on my skin from that sunscreen that's still there. It's a blemish. And I saw freckles and wrinkles, and I looked at the lines that I didn't recognize were going on my hands. And I realized my life is like this t-shirt. When I was afraid to do things because my body and my life didn't bear the signs it was well lived and well loved, I hid away, hoping that with age alone, the signs of a life lived would just show up. But just like my shirt, I've not become comfortable with my life by just existing through it. I had to take life off the shelf, put it on, even though it doesn't fit in the way I want it to fit. I have to take life outside and make mistakes. I have to live through spills and scars and stains from tropical flowers, like the ones I got on my other favorite shirt the last time I was in the Dominican Republic that just won't come out. I have to go out where the scents of the air and the wind and the world wind their ways through my hair and into my lungs. I have to risk getting pooped on by squirrel monkeys so I can experience the wonder of being surrounded by those tiny, beautiful creatures. I did not get pooped on. I got peed on twice and showered as soon as we got back to the hotel and soaked my skirt and the shorts I had underneath. But I had to risk that to have the experience and the laughter and the joy of being surrounded by them. Sometimes I have to say the wrong things to find the right words. I have to risk sounding strange and making mistakes to become fluent in a new language. And I did that a lot in the Dominican. And everybody was gracious and helpful and kind. I have to challenge my views and ideals, and I have to stretch myself out. Every day I have to choose to wash yesterday's dirt off of my life, put it back on, and go outside in order to make my life one I'm comfortable wearing and one that looks and feels well loved and well lived.